Colin Scorby in the chat.
Fun times.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 5 of the Mac Yak. We got a whole lot of stuff going on tonight. So if you notice, we do have a special guest with us tonight. So I'll let Jay, since you actually introduced us to Michael, I'll let you do the introductions here.
Why me? I suck at this stuff.
He's actually running.
Well, before I do, are we live? Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we are.
I'm in one of the Facebook groups called Macro Users, and one day a video popped up of this random dude just talking about Apple's T2 chip. And like, hey, just an interesting topic. I want to know more, and it might be fun to get him on the stream. So I contacted him, and fast forward, he's here. This is Michael Manna, and he has a lot to say about Apple's T2 chip. So looking forward to
Michael
that.
Manna looks familiar. He's also known as Stevie Richards, professional wrestler. So, say hi, Mike.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. The guys in the locker room are tired of hearing me talk about this T2 chip and the directions Apple's going. So I think I'll have a more receptive audience, I hope, tonight, than rather than a bunch of guys getting up and walking out of the locker room and ignoring me. Captive audience, too, so that's good.
Well, I think we got a little bit more in common there than locker room guys. So
No, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of guys that love technology. They love that kind of stuff, but also, you know, when you mix the critical thinking, I'll put, is that a more friendly term than conspiracy theorist? I guess critical thinker, to be able to say like this, this is not the same, and they're not doing it for the best interest or the future of the customers. It really is and we'll get into it. It's nothing. I think anybody in this chat room who has listened or watched the first 4 streams you guys have done have a differing opinion. They probably already know that Apple is not heading in the right direction as far as where we want them to head, at least.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Agreed. And I don't get me wrong, we're not anti-Apple. I mean, we're doing this whole thing on group FaceTime because, it's an Apple product. We like using it. We love the software. We just don't necessarily agree with where the hardware is going. And you mentioned the same in your video. If I recall correctly, it's why I will never buy a new Mac again. And it all boiled down to the T2 chip. And I figured that would be an interesting topic to start off with because, it has some pros, but it also has some cons. And,
yeah, the T2 chip's really interesting because the presentation made it sound like the miracle chip that they're going to put in these things that'll help us, with privacy, security, and also if you do videos, it's going to have 40 times faster hardware encoding, HVEC, encoding, and all these great things and stuff. But probably people in the chat room are familiar with Louis Rossmann. That's how I started to kind of get a little smartened up about, Apple's design of their hardware and how poorly some of the new and refurb stuff is designed to fail initially, years and years and years into the design. So this T2 chip was interesting because it was brought to my attention that, this also, by the way, may block third-party repairs. Now, may is pretty much a will. And, but don't worry, everybody. By the way, I heard these, the Apple apologists and stuff, and I'm an Apple fanboy too. Everything I have here is Apple. How I created my resistance band programs is with iBooks Author. I edit in Final Cut. everything is Mac based because, like you said, the software really does just work. But, to have something like that in there, they've already blocked third-party repairs and you, the person who owns the machine, from upgrading, repairing so much already. Why would they stop continuing that trend?
Right. And that kind of ties in with one of us said it last week or the week before. We were talking about is Tim Cook going to make his own mark? And my belief is that no, he's not, because there's no new products that he can come up with that are going to beat what we currently have. But if he does want to make his own mark, he should open up the schematics, open up the board views, open up the parts. If you want to make a difference, if you want to make your mark, undo all this blocking of repair and third-party stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's how he can make his mark.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Get back on the T2 thing right there. Like Michael said, about causing third-party repairs. Now, I don't know if anybody saw it, but Linus Tech Tips had a video out where they actually reviewed it and found out that guess what? You cannot install a third-party operating system on it because it blocks out the internal storage now because it's actually, soldered onto the board. You can't even change out the internal storage, which I think is kind of crappy in a way, but you can boot Linux on it. You just can't install it on the internal drive.
Yeah, and there's no security reason to block your internal storage from another operating system. There's no valid reason for that.
No, there is no valid reason at all.
Yeah, it's like when we were talking about Tim Cook making his mark. Basically, everything he's making now is less innovative than it was before. And with the T2 locking everything down, it's like Apple's going backwards, basically.
Well, if you look at it too, Tim Cook, if people don't know, he's a logistics guy. He's a supply chain guy. He's a nuts and bolts, meet the street kind of guy. He wants to make sure the stockholders are happy, the quarterlies are met. And the only way you're going to do that is when essentially hardware lasts for a shorter lifespan and the need to make disposable items soldered on SSDs, having the same graphics cards fail that have been failing for years, having now a third generation, I think it is, butterfly switch keyboard that you finally put a membrane in that was in the 2015 and previous MacBook Pros and everything else in existence. This is the kind of stuff where it can't be by accident that they're doing this. And also, I'm sure we'll get into the Mac Pros because that's one of the machines that are kind of in my crosshairs. The Mac Pro, they knew the thermals or whatever internals on the hardware on the trash cam one were bad, and they still released it and they still sell it at the same price they sold it in 2013. And now they're expecting us to trust them to come out with a modular Mac Pro that resembles the greatest one, in my opinion, a cheese grater.
Oh, yeah.
I doubt it unless you put the biggest T2 chip you've ever seen in your life in that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is a concern. Like if for all the good stuff the T2 does, because it's not all bad. I mean, from a third-party repair perspective, it's bad, or potentially it's going to be very bad. But the security it offers, like one of the features that's in there that not many people talk about, there's a hardware microphone disconnect. When you close the lid of your MacBook Pro, the microphone is cut off. There's no way spyware or malware or anything can get to it. And you got your Touch ID, and so the idea is good. But why give it like an evil second purpose to start blocking third-party repair and all that? Because the Mac Pro, the new Mac Pro, is supposed to be modular, super upgradable. Like, how are we going to do that if you have a T2 chip locking it down?
Well, and that's another issue too. Like you just mentioned, Jay, is that T2 chip could lock out if you want to replace like a video card and put a third-party video card in there. How are you going to do that if you can't, put other hardware in there? And I think that's where Apple's going, is that they want to lock you into their ecosystem where you have to purchase, the upgrades from them and not from a third party vendor.
That's what I'm worried about. Their idea of modular is going to mean, hey, you want more RAM? Come buy this riser card or whatever from us. Hey, you want the 12 gig Titan? We sell one too for $500 extra. That's what you can put in there. Or I know Michael is a huge fan of the Blackmagic eGPU series. They might do something with that.
If I were still wrestling and on every pay-per-view in WWE and getting paid out the ass in bonuses, I still wouldn't pay $1,200 for that. It's essentially that kind of thing. And Blackmagic, that's a big no to them too, because you did what Apple did. You sealed the GPU in there and didn't allow people to upgrade it. I'm paying essentially, say the RX 580, say I go with the last gen, not the Vega. It's $699. The card's around $238 to $256, depending upon where you get it. So you're charging me $300 and some for a fan and a USB hub. That's all you're charging me for. That's the premium, the Blackmagic tax to go along with your Apple tax. I was going to say something about the Mac Pro. There can only be one logical reason why Apple, who already has the blueprint for what a Mac Pro should be, if it's truly modular. Now, you could scale it down to a smaller size. You could do a lot of things to streamline it. But no, I believe what they're doing is they're working really hard to make every single thing, like you said, Jay, proprietary. That's what's taking them so long to create the new Mac Pro.
Oh yeah, they're trying to make it where you can't do external or third party hardware into it. And if you look at the iMacs are the same way. I mean, you can't even open the things up without even tearing it apart. As far as getting the sticky stuff off of it, just to get the screen off of it.
Oh yeah.
Can't even maintain those to keep them clean and protected from harm and damage. I mean, how many freaking MacBook Airs, MacBooks, MacBook Pros are biting the dust because some particle of random crap that was in the air gets into places it shouldn't be inside that delicate internals of the MacBook and shorts out it and kills the machine, where if they could have dusted it out, it'd been fine.
Yeah. Well, Michael was talking about that yesterday, was their green effort, their so-called green effort, well, it's not really green if you can't clean out your MacBook and prolong its life. Mm-hmm. And else you're throwing it in a dumpster somewhere. That's not green.
Exactly.
The entire green PR machine is insert curse word that I'm not going to do. But it's, not 100% of their stores, or not even 50% of their stores run on green energy. That's a fact. You cannot tell me that you're green and you're all about reuse and recycling because you have a pretty robot that can take apart 5 different models of iPhones, but then you turn around and you throw millions at lawyers to block the right to repair effort. You're not.
You really think they're using that robot for that? That was just probably for a keynote speech is all it was, and they got a bunch of Chinese people in the back there in a sweatshop tearing those damn phones apart.
Yeah.
No, they're sending them to what is it? Pakistan is what?
Yeah, that's it. Pakistan. I saw a video on that.
Yeah.
Are they going to build suicide nets for the robots when it's too much for them too?
Steel cable.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, just for people, because I shared it on social media. So if there's anybody in the chat room or listening or watching this, just so people know, because we're talking about the things that can't be repaired or the things that can't be upgraded. What's the newest Macs across the line that one could buy that could be opened up, upgradable, saying to SSD, like for the laptops, for the batteries too? What can somebody buy, even if it's 3-4 years old, where they can say, okay, well, at least I can stretch the shelf life of this machine past what Apple says is even vintage or no longer supported? Like what would we talk about with that if we would recommend that to a newbie?
Well, most of them would be mid 2012 Macs, like the MacBook Pro, the non-Retina, the real Mac Pro, all that, basically.
Yep. I agree. That's where you're sitting now. Depending on how you want to stretch it and debate it, in the iMac realm, that can carry a little farther if you're willing to be stuck with the graphics card that's in there, because the 27-inch models, you could still upgrade the SSD in them, maybe throw in a fusion of another drive in there with it. You could upgrade the RAM in those, but you're screwed when it comes to your video card is non-upgradable past the 2011 series. And then you also run into the issue of, like we were saying just a moment ago, the actually getting into it is an absolute pain in the rear end.
Oh yeah.
I got here a 2012 Retina. Okay.
Yeah. That's my favorite one. Data doublers and all that stuff. Added 2 SSDs in it. Take out the optical drive.
This is the Retina.
Oh, it's 2012 though, right?
Yeah, but that's
the Retina didn't have that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one that I'm currently repairing, and the only thing that's really glued in there is the battery. You still have an SSD that you could take out and upgrade if you want. You're stuck with the RAM, but pretty much when the Retina started, it was
all downhill.
A big hit for upgradability. So I would go with 2012 as well, whether it's a MacBook Pro or a Mac Pro.
Yeah, but I was going to say, I looked at the 2015 models. Like the one I used to have was a 2015 quad-core i7.
Good one.
I'm sorry?
That was the last good one, basically.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I could upgrade the SSD in that, and even though it's some work, I can still replace the battery down the line. So that would probably be, like what I was saying, was the edge of what we're talking about. Not, 2012 super easy. I did it. That was like my first time ever upgrading a laptop at all, and I followed a video, and it was easy. 2015 seems, the SSD seems very easy. The battery seems pretty involved, but necessity is the mother of invention too. When you have to replace the battery, you'll take your time and figure it out. The iMacs, for instance, you mentioned the iMac. That's always puzzled me, because even though I'm on one right now, which I have the box for sellyourmac.com, by the way. So this is going to go probably in a week. And that's why I'm here, for you guys to help me decide what to go to. But very quickly, like, they didn't make it much thinner to where they could justify the lack of what these upgrades into 2011. I would have been fine keeping it about that thick and letting me get into it and do everything I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think people today would do that. If you released a thicker iMac and said you can upgrade all this stuff, nobody'd be mad.
Yeah.
Well, even if people didn't really know how to get into it or whatnot, let a repair shop be able to do it easier than what it is now to get in there and fix it. Because there's some people that don't even change their own oil on a car. They don't change their own tires or do any of that stuff. They go to somebody to get it done. Well, the problem is you can't get that done even at a repair shop without it costing an arm and a leg, because guess what? It takes a lot more effort to pull that screen off now than it would, if they made it a little easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the thing is, Apple more so than any other brand has gotten people afraid of opening their stuff. Somehow an Apple product is this magical box that you never open up because God knows what might happen. But I say, if there's screws on the bottom, get the screwdriver kit, open it up. Even if it's a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro, or one of those 12-inch pieces, open it up and blow it out with some compressed air. That alone is going to probably extend the life of that product.
Uh-huh.
But people are like, oh, Apple products, no, you need Genius Bar, you can't do that. And Apple has people successfully scared to mess around in their own equipment. And I want to do that.
Mike, what are you doing?
He's making all kind of noise.
Time to make some popcorn, I guess. I don't know.
We got James in the chat. He agrees 2012 to 2006 era for upgradability. I would agree. Well, pre-2006 as well. I got a G4, a G5, a G3, X-Serves, all that stuff. So
I do too.
Hey, don't turn that X-Serve on. We won't be able to hear anybody.
So your Mac has 2012 MacBook Pros in stock, according to chat. So
Yeah.
Well, that's why I
Yeah,
looked on their
we,
eBay store. I looked on the eBay store and I saw the 2015. There was a quad core 512 gig SSD with the discrete graphics too. I think it had the 290X, I think it is back there, 2015. Not a bad card, not a bad machine either. And it's just tough. It's tough to look at it's tough to look and be convinced with the power of Thunderbolt 3 and know that I got to just daisy chain a bunch of stuff out there rather than go to USB 3 hub or something, or Thunderbolt 2 to USB 3, which are cheaper and get essentially the same utility out of it without having to stretch out these dongles and stuff like that. And they're not cheap, man. I mean, did they still have the dongles locked down, guys, on the Thunderbolt 3 from Mac? I remember Louis Rossman said
yes.
that they're all locked down to official Apple adapters.
Yeah.
What? No, the
display, I
MacBook Pros?
think. For display, I think. Last time I saw it, you had a 2016, so it's not.
No, I had a 2008 or 2017.
Maybe they opened that up because he tested an Amazon one. I think it was a Sabrin or something like that. Not a Satechi. It was a Sabrin, and it didn't work. It didn't work for his to bring it up on display. But then when he used the $80 one from Apple, it worked.
Well, see, I have a it's called I forget the name of it, but it's a I think I showed it to you yesterday, but it's a docking port for my MacBook Pro, but it has an HDMI port. I haven't tested the HDMI out on it yet, so I'll have to test that and see if it works or not.
Oh, I hope it does. I don't want to jinx you.
I hope it does too, because it's supposed to work with the newer MacBooks, is what they said. But
I have yet to use Thunderbolt at all. I only have two Macs that support it, my mid-2011 iMac and this mid-2012 MacBook Pro.
I use Thunderbolt with adapters. I use Thunderbolt to Ethernet and Thunderbolt to FireWire. That's it.
Yeah. I use it for a second display for OBS. So if I'm looking at a website, I put it in front of me and I have a Thunderbolt to Thunderbolt the number 2 to HDMI cable. So, or HDMI adapter, then I do the HDMI cable. So I think it's useful for a second display if you have Thunderbolt 2 or Thunderbolt 3 without an HDMI. I think you can get good bandwidth. Plus, the new iMac, not the new one, but the 27-inch, I think has no, that's the Mac Mini. The one I hate. The Thunderbolts work off of two different controllers, so you can get full throughput if you use, I think, the 2-end Thunderbolt 3 ports. They used to have shared channels. I think the iMac is a shared channel Thunderbolt 3. So if you plug one in, you're not going to get full bandwidth, I believe, out of the one next to it.
Yeah, that sounds about.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
To the Trashcan Pro, not all ports have their own controller. I think ports 5 and 6, the ones at the bottom, you share with the ports above it or something. I don't know. But even, and correct me if I'm wrong, definitely Thunderbolt 1 and version 2, and I think even Thunderbolt 3 is still not as fast as a 16-speed PCIe slot in a 2012 Mac Pro.
I think 3 actually is faster.
By a small margin, though.
By a small margin, but I think it's faster.
You're talking about like SSD speeds. I think people are loading, they're booting off of SSDs now, and they're fast off of Thunderbolt 3.
Yeah.
Well,
they're using those graphic adapters that you mentioned. That Blackmagic is using Thunderbolt 3. I mean, that's
Yeah.
But the kabuki-ish thing about that, though, is like, say I have a 2017 iMac, and you said the graphics card is pretty much I have to live with it. But if I wanted to get an eGPU, theoretically, yeah, you could plug in the Sonnet or the Razer Core X, put a Vega 64 in or whatever I want. The problem is that if you don't and I saw this with laptops, if you don't connect it through an external display from the actual Mac, and this I had heard counts with the iMac too, then you're going to get the blank screen. You got to log in with your password because the GPU, even on boot, you need an external display for it to daisy chain through. I don't know if that's the case, but I know laptops, you definitely need to seamlessly have it connected to an external display for some reason.
Yeah.
Am I off base with that, or
No.
I
Actually,
heard that. I hope to be wrong. I hope to be wrong about these things, but it seems like my worst nightmares are coming true each time I try to look at these machines. But the iPads are doing well, right? Is that a good segue?
Yeah.
Those are doing great.
That's a great way to segue there.
Yeah. No, the iPads are doing great. They come with a curved screen now.
I think we have something else we want to bring up before we get
let's cover this question real quick, guys. Anyone want to read
see.
it?
Neo.
Question,
question for me. I know you probably don't have tons of experience with this, but I use a Zoom Thunderbolt interface with a MIDI keyboard, and there is latency. Is it the fact that I'm running a hard drive on a 2011 13-inch MacBook Pro? MIDI, we're talking kilobytes. So that's very odd that you would have latency on that.
It's probably something to do with the adapter and the way it encodes it.
Yeah, a different adapter would be my first try, because MIDI, you can run a full MIDI setup on an Atari and it'll run like a boss. So I would go after a different adapter.
Yep. Okay, back to the iPads.
Well, hold on.
Okay, are we going to start talking about the iPads now?
Well, we've got 50% through the 1 hour because we were going to cut it tonight because
we can go a little bit longer if we need to. I mean, it's
good.
Well,
for people that don't know what we're talking about, Greg Thompson here has had the bright idea to start packing for his vacation tonight. So he's like, let's shorten the stream a little so I can have time to pack.
Well, it's not only that, but I actually have to get some sleep tonight because I'm leaving at like 4 in the morning.
You don't need sleep.
Yeah, see, nothing but excuses.
Oh, so, I do because I'm the one that's driving.
Being the supporting friends that we are, we said, hell no, we're going to have a 2-hour stream. But it might be a little bit shorter than usual. But one of the things we wanted to squeeze in there is we have a new logo.
Well, actually, before we get to the logo, let's talk about this iPad because we had some comments on it already.
Yeah, let's talk about the iPad.
Okay.
So, if you could tell by the topic down there, you could see that our logo our thing is a little bent because we're kind of discussing the new iPad Pro and it coming bent out of the box.
Yeah. I don't know if and this reflects poorly on us. Like, we're supposed to be in the know on this stuff, and it was actually Michael Manna that brought the link to our attention in the chat that some people have been complaining about their iPad Pros receiving or arriving at their homes bent, and Apple says, "Oh, it's part of the manufacturer process.
It's a feature,
it's not a defect.
It's a feature.
It's a feature."
They said it's a feature.
No,
we're just saying that. That's
being not a defect. It might as well be a feature, right?
Exactly. You're bending it wrong.
And that's the same as with I forgot which phone it was. I think it was the iPhone 5S or the 6.
It was the 5.
They were so fresh off the assembly line that there was a discoloration in the screen of the glue that still had to dry.
Yeah, that was the 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, but I don't think this is going to bend itself back over time. So,
no, I don't think so. I mean, Apple's excuse that it's a manufacturing process and it's not going to bend anymore is, to me, that's it's a BS excuse. You know,
it's not going to bend anymore. It's already bent, so now you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's not going to even fit in the aftermarket case if it's already bent.
Exactly. You say it's not going to affect the functionality, but if you want to slap a case on it, you know what? They have to produce bent cases now just to fit your iPad.
Well, you guys remember Antenna Gate, right? Where you're holding it wrong, and we're going to give you a free bumper case, for, so it doesn't affect it, instead. Because to be honest with you, I work with radio frequency all the time. I'm a ham radio operator, been one for 25 years or so now, and to be honest with you, anytime you touch an antenna, you're attenuating the signal. It doesn't matter what it is. So the dumbest idea of putting those antennas in the bands was dumb. Just like making the iPad as thin as possible, yet having a camera bump on it is dumb.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, doesn't hey Mike, don't you have an iPad Pro, Mister?
Yeah, I have a first generation iPad Pro.
Did it come with the special bent feature?
No, I must admit, for $19.99, I did not get that feature. I should have paid the extra $200 for the bend. I've been quite disappointed in the fact that I did not get the bend.
I got ripped off too. I got the 10.5. I checked it today. I don't have the bend either. I don't know if it's like a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory thing. Like these people are going to get the golden ticket or something, and they're going to win something special. By the way, people in the forums at Mac Rumors are actually like defending Apple. Like, but I can't believe you guys are so picky and so this and like it's a. I was about to curse. God, I might as well curse. It's $1,000 plus fucking dollars. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like that's like going back with a Mercedes after you buy and say there was a scratch on it when I'm at the stoplight and I look and it's scratched and they're like, so
it's a feature.
Yeah. Yours is different than everybody else's. Aren't you happy about that? It's special.
Yeah, if I wanted that, I would have it engraved.
Now in this thing with Mac Rumors though, the funny part is about the quote is that they're not like I didn't see anything about in the quotes from Mac Rumors that they said, oh yeah, return them. If there's a problem, they're just like you guys said, it shouldn't bend anymore. Like, oh, you want me to keep it? Like I have to keep this. I mean, you can return it, but you know what I mean? They didn't say, whoa, wait a minute, everybody return it. Like bring them back. That's a manufacturer's defect. That's not acceptable. Bring them back. Be happy to switch them out.
Yeah.
I didn't see any quote about that.
Well, is that? I mean, this has to be like they called Apple for comment, and I can only assume that some intern picked up the phone in between making coffee and sweeping the floor. It's like, oh yeah, that's normal, man. See you. Because there's no way that Apple is arrogant enough to actually say, it's cool. Don't worry about it.
You don't think that, Jay? Come on now. Steve Jobs went up on stage and told people they're holding it wrong.
I remember the...
Okay, I'm sorry, but Apple would be arrogant enough to say that.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, especially when websites like Mac Rumors jump on it. You know, it's gonna be in the media for a week or so. People are gonna forget it. Then all the class actions are gonna pop up, and then Apple goes on stage and says, "Oh, we have a free case or $20 case you can put on. It has a wrench on the back, and you can bend it back." Something like that.
No, what they're gonna do is they're gonna let people exchange them out for new ones. That are not bent. And they're probably going to go back to, their supplier in China and say, you guys need to fix this. It's messed up.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
I would hope so.
Yeah, there's an interesting couple comments in the Mac Rumors that I read just a minute ago about how, Apple, they were being sarcastic about, oh yeah, there's going to be touch disease, loop disease along with this, and then Apple will charge you $4.99 to repair your iPad Pro. Obviously, within warranty, that's not going to happen. But I'll give you a little story about the Genius Bar now. Like, I used to go to the Apple store way back and be like, okay, if this isn't working and worst comes to worst after my troubleshooting, they're just going to swap it out. You know what I mean? They're not going to make me walk out without an iPhone or a laptop or whatever. They're going to try to fix it in a day or whatever. I brought my Apple Watch in because my Apple Watch, the heart rate is lagging and disconnecting for like anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes during my workout. And I'm like, that's unacceptable during like a, high intensity training session or something where I really want to gauge that for safety.
Right.
So I went in and I said, okay, well, this is the problem. I troubleshoot. I reset the software. I started this new Apple Watch. I did all that. I really didn't. I lied, but I said I did. So I'm not going to go through all that. So anyway, they hook it up to an internal diagnostic tool, by the way, right? To repair. I saw that and I went, oh my God, they have their own internal, they went right into the watch over the Wi-Fi with their diagnostic tool. I'm like, this is this is locking everything down. So then she goes, yeah, there might be a problem or whatever. Well, just leave the watch with us and we'll get it back to you in 6 to 10 days. And I was like, I just bought this thing like a month ago. Can't you just swap it out? No, we have to take it back. We have to send it in to our repair thing to see if there's anything wrong with it, repair it, do this. And I go, can I get a loaner watch or anything? No. So I paid like $400 and some for this watch. And I used it every single day for working out and also for notifications because I don't want this wireless in my pocket all day long. I don't want the phone near me for safety of, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
The wireless radiation or whatever I'm trying to avoid. Long story short, she was like, sorry, can't do it. You got to give it to us for 10 days and then 6 to 10 days. And I was like, man, this is a drastic, cultural change in Apple support. This is so I just want people to know, if you think you're buying something new and you're really, really covered, even with Apple Care, you're still going to be without a computer, a watch, a phone, an iPad for days or a week or so. So it's really, so they're telling you to buy multiple Macs. That's what it is.
Sorry. Or you could bring it to people like Louis Rossman and have them fix it for, a couple hundred and it's done.
That's what I plan to do with anything from this point on, and especially if I go with a laptop. I'll go to a reputable repair shop. And now I know Jay. I know somebody that's going to. What's that?
Or send it to Jay.
I said now that I know somebody that's going to repair it and cares about what they're doing, and it's not going to just be somebody that's going to go by Apple's standard walled garden diagnostic program. Yeah, I'm not going with anything that. I can't ever buy a new Mac again because that T2 chip's going to just lock Jay out, lock Lewis out, or lock me out. It's not cool.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind that Apple is pulling the same stunts as any company does, really, but the biggest comparison is the wireless industry. New iPhone drops. Get yours today. Here's unlimited data. Fast forward a year. Oh, you got unlimited data, but it's going to be $50 a month more. And you still have unlimited, but if you use more than 2 gigs, we're going to cap you to crawling speed. And then they just screw you over and drop it completely because some grandfather clause. And Apple is doing the same. You used to be able to go to a Genius Bar, and unfortunately that was still during the time I worked there, and you could get away with murder. And we just had to, you bought this 360 days ago, you're still within the warranty, sure, here's a new phone, have a good day. But now, they don't have to anymore. They're rich, they're big, they know they got people hooked. You don't have to have that excellent customer service anymore that you used to provide.
Right.
I can attest to that as well. Back in the 06, 07, 08 era, when I was working for an Apple partner doing warranty repair, I remember that if a customer brought their Mac Pro in, well, at that time, it was the early Mac Pros, and, any of their devices, I had to turn that thing around that same day. Unless it had to have a part, and then it was either a situation of, okay, how long is this part going to take to get in? And Apple would overnight ship parts for their laptops, for their, Mac Pros. I mean, everything. I would get parts overnight. It would come in the next morning, and I'd have to shove it in and get it diagonal and out the door back to the client again. It was incredible customer service, and they would rake you over the coals like no other. Like, the only way I could keep my Apple certification and the company that I worked for could keep it is if I maintained a certain level of repair performance and speed. Otherwise, you took it up the rear end and you're out the door.
Yeah. But, Mike, did you ever get your watch back repaired, or did they give you a new one?
No, I had to walk out with it, the same watch. I was waiting for them to tell me, just hook it up to a chest strap, because, that's...
What series watch was it?
4.
Oh, so it's the newest
It's the one I got on right now.
This is the Series 1, so... It's the very first one. Actually, it's the original.
Yeah, my Series 1, the back keeps falling off of it.
Okay. Well, I got to me, the heart rate monitor is really important, and the accuracy, and you're going to pay $100 plus for a pretty decent Polar or anything else. So to me, spending the money and be able to have notifications, when, God willing, I have a sale through my website for the programs and stuff, and getting notified and the notifications of different stuff like that. Also to text with you guys and I can just speak the stuff. It is a convenience, but it also becomes a very good utility. So, but nothing else. I mean, looking at the other stuff outside of this appliance I have on it, even the new iPad Pro. I've never thought there'd be a day, guys. I was always that guy that would buy the GSM unlocked phones like the Nokia E61s, and I had all these other ones that I would be so excited about. I am so excited to never upgrade again when it comes to or not get new stuff. The new iPads, once they told me it has USB-C, number one thing is man, I got a clip mic digital from Sennheiser, which is lightning to connect, so I have good audio when I'm doing videos sometimes. Also, you can't connect a thumb drive. You can't connect anything, a keyboard, a mouse. What's USB-C good for if you can't use the utility of the port? So it's a bad upgrade.
Well, there's someone in the chat. I think it's Nick. I can't keep these names straight. Axiomatic Raptor. I think that's Nick, right?
Yeah, it's Nick.
Yeah. Hey, Nick. He says, I refuse to buy any new Apple products. I love the old products. And as I was talking to you guys about last night or yesterday, I got this new phone strictly not because I was unhappy with my SE. I loved my SE. The size, the shit, everything was perfect. But I have a kid, and I want to take the best pictures and video I can take, so I bit the bullet and I upgraded. But the laptop next to me, which is currently buried in chocolate chip cookies, so I can't show you, but it's a 2009 17-inch MacBook Pro. I just put a new battery in yesterday. That's my main driver for laptop. My desktop is a 2012 Mac Pro. My servers are all 2012 Mac Minis and Xserves. My gaming computer is a G4 mirror drive door. I got off the upgrade wagon a long time ago. I don't need the latest stuff, except for the phone because of the camera, but when it comes to Macs, I'm sticking to the old stuff.
Same here.
Yep, same here.
And yeah, my wife brought that up. She's in the chat. Her watch is one of the old square iPod Nanos with a watch band on it.
I got that. Yeah,
that thing is so cool.
Got
man.
one sitting over there.
Yeah, those Nanos, so they make it into the watches. I thought that was a really cool, neat idea that they would never think outside the box now. So, I got to think. I'm going to trade. Yeah, I think I'm going to trade. I got my quote today from Sell Your Mac, which I was pretty happy with. And I'm gonna probably trade this in, but I'll look at their site and look around and say, there you go. Yep, yeah. iPad Nano.
I love that thing. Yeah, all the Macs in this house, except for some of the Power PCs and the Xserve, they all came from Sell Your Mac. And that it's not a plug. I work for Sell Your Mac now. I got all that stuff before I worked there. And, it's
sort of a plug.
It is, because I talk about companies I support, and I would never work there if I didn't. They did me right with every Mac I bought. My wife's iMac is a 2014. It looks a little, looks a little bad because I have the screen held on with tape so I can get in there to clean it once in a while. But
Wendy will probably comment in the comments about
I already said something in the comments about that. It says, yeah, but it's got tape holding it together.
Yeah.
I've got 2 Macs from Sell Your Mac. if
it was in my budget, I would get her set up with a 2009 Mac Pro, upgraded all the way to a 2012 spec-wise, put in a AMD, whatever ridiculous spec, and she'd be good. But for her Adobe stuff, mostly Adobe, iMac is the better processor.
Yeah, so, I would agree with that. But we're talking about Sell Your Mac and stuff. My Mac Pro series. I'm basically doing what you just said you do for her. Upgrading my Mac Pro, and it was from Sell Your Mac.
Yeah.
Well, question about that. Well, first and foremost, Adobe's the bottleneck. No matter what Mac you use, they need to do some stuff with their software, and I can't believe they charge. I'm morphing over into other subjects I see in the description. I can't believe The only thing that holds me off from using Adobe is the fact that I've never had to pay more than once for Final Cut Pro 10. I don't have to pay more than once for Affinity Photo or Luminar 2018. Now I got Luminar 3. This subscription model, when you're hindering the hardware we're using with your software, you're not making any more streamlined workflows or code or anything.
Oh.
I don't understand the premium. I mean, Adobe's every bit what Steve said was right. They're a big bag of hurt in a lot of ways, just like Apple's becoming a big bag of hurt. I just don't understand. Like subscription models, I think essentially they can be good for smaller, but for the bigger ones, I think they're just greedy little money grabs over time to try to keep the money flowing in.
Yeah.
Well, since we went to that subject, I went ahead and put our overlay up for that. So we'll just go ahead and get into that.
Sorry I did that. I'm trying to segue.
No,
that's fine. That's fine.
That's how we were.
And I'm the same way. I got and thank God there's a good alternative to Photoshop and Illustrator, because Affinity is kicking Adobe's ass. They have awesome software that runs circles depending on who you talk to, because there's some comparisons out there on YouTube that say, oh, Affinity sucks, Adobe is great, and others that go the other way. But dude, $50, you're done forever. You're done. You got your upgrades, your updates, and the same with I used to use Text Expander a lot, and they went subscription only. So I switched to A-Text, which is not even a quarter of the price. 1Password is really pushing that subscription model, and once they push it through all the way, I'm switching to a different password manager, because I know you want to make your money, you want to make your profits, but you're not going to get them from me. I'm not made of money. Just let me pay once for the product. If it's a good product, I'll support it, I'll talk about it, I'll advertise it, but don't make me spend money for something I already have.
Yeah, it is like with Adobe, for instance, the newest product that I use, other than, of course, their horrible Flash player because it keeps getting worse. But the newest product I use is CS5. I've been using Photoshop since probably 2006, maybe, and CS5 was the very last one we paid for. And it may be 8 years old, but it still works. And I don't want a subscription to something, that I have to pay yearly for when I have this program that's already paid for and it works. It does run poorly now because it's not optimized for newer systems, but it works. And I can do everything I need to do on it. And that's probably going to be the last Adobe product I use because of the subscription. I hate Creative Cloud.
Well, I think some of the problems now I can see why people are going to subscription based, because people buy it and they fix bugs and they even put upgrade. Now, fixing bugs is one thing, but putting more features in, I can see if you want to charge them more if they want to get new features or whatnot, because what you paid for was what you got at the time, and if you want more, you're going to pay more, of course. But for bug fixes and everything else, if it's something that's wrong with the software, then that person or company needs to actually fix it and keep on fixing it until they actually squash all the bugs, because somebody could use it for 10 years down the road, until, like, for instance, it stops working. Like, for instance, Mojave now is going to sunset. I think the next version of Mac OS is going to sunset anything that's not 64-bit. So anything 32-bit basically is not going to run on Mac OS the next version around. So I think that's next year. So,
yeah.
But I think there is a place for subscription services, but I think it's just for certain things, but not for everything.
Well, I can see your point in that, and just speaking from what I've seen, in the enterprise corporate world, even in large scale and down into the medium scale and some small scale businesses, companies have gotten accustomed to this really fat paycheck model of subscription services for their products at businesses. They will charge them thousands upon thousands, in some cases millions of dollars, for the purchase of the product, and then a maintainer fee yearly for what they call being support, but they don't give you any tech support. That's an additional fee. they actually only charge you for patches and fixes, and it's a yearly subscription to be maintained and required for the software to operate, period. And I think that they got greedy with that because in the consumer realm, you don't have that. So, they saw video content, things like that, where it makes sense. And they decided, well, fine, we're going to do that with this. I mean, antivirus was one of the first ones, I think, to start having their subscription model, and it's just kind of exploded from there. I agree. I don't necessarily like it. In some cases, I see the need for it. I am a subscriber to Microsoft's Office 365. It suits a purpose for me. I actually utilize their OneDrive and things like that, and it makes sense for something that has to be maintained by them on a constant basis. I don't mind paying a constant maintaining fee. But if I wanted to buy Office, I should be able to buy Office by itself if that suited me better. But they don't have that model anymore to just buy Office by itself if I wanted to. Granted, I wouldn't want to because their 365 suits me better. But, I mean, that's just my point of view on it.
Well, here's the real dirty part of that model, though, and then coming from a person that's worked at gyms and managed gyms and stuff, everybody has switched over. Now you can't even pay used to be able to pay the one-time cash thing, like $300 cash for the year, join a gym and all that. Now everybody has EFT. Everybody has their subscription model with your bank draft or credit card. And what happens is in bank draft, usually because you can't dispute the bank draft off the checking account as easily as a credit or debit card. They're hoping, number one, that you forget about the subscription.
Yep.
The gym payment. That's why so many people 3-4 months down the line, it's like, oh, I didn't even know I was paying that. Then they say, okay, we're going to do that, cancel it. It's either going to get just till the end of the month. It might get prorated if you're lucky. You'll get your money back. Or, oh, we need 30 days to process your thing and go through corporate. And they squeeze another month out of you. That's what they're hoping, not for use. They're hoping for people to forget, because how many of us have forgotten? Oh my God, I didn't even know the 30 days was up on the free trial or any of that stuff.
That's what I had with my iTunes music subscription. I get an email that says $29 was received. Like, for what? So I checked, iTunes music. Whoa, I've had that for 4 years, dude. I didn't even realize it. So it does work. But it's a little segue out of this topic, and then we can circle back. Mac Yak has a new logo, right?
Yep.
I didn't pay for that logo, although I was forced to bake chocolate chip cookies to get it. But what if that was a logo that was going to cost us $5 a month forever? Will we still do it? Hell no. You want a new logo, you pay someone for it, typically, or you marry her, and then you get the logo and you're done. But there are very select scenarios where subscription works, and I would say 90% of all scenarios where it doesn't work. But I don't know, the stream is kind of lagging behind. Do we have a graphic up right now? Or?
So we're getting ready to, but you want to announce it first, though?
I thought I just did.
Well, you kind of switched it, but I haven't put it on there yet.
All right, well, go ahead, put it on.
Yeah. Jay's wife designed this. It's a very awesome logo. I love it.
Yeah, we're replacing the Goofy Yak, much to Mr. Stanhope's disliking. We're replacing it with a little bit more modern-looking logo. It's still a little goofy, just like we are. Not too serious. And it was made by Exact Creative, a graphics company. Happens to be my wife as well. So thank you very much for that. It's an awesome logo. I like it. And I think we're going to be keeping this around for a while.
Wife.
So that's the new logo, guys. That's we're going from the old one that Jay created to the one his wife created.
Yeah.
Notice the
awesome logo, Wendy.
Professional.
I should have given that a white background. But, yeah.
Well, I think we can do it a glow behind it eventually, so it sticks out more like I do with my logo.
Yeah, we'll tweak it. But
It's awesome.
yeah, so thank you for that. And she's in the chat. Her name is Aliki. If you all want to shower her with compliments, now is the time to do so.
Very
It will
cool.
reflect good on me. So, but yeah, I wanted to pop that in there real quick, just in case Greg decides he has to go and pack or something.
No, I'm still good.
Okay, just checking.
Now that we peer pressured him into it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we shamed him for 3 days straight. Like, oh man.
What are we going to talk about next, guys? We still got a bunch of topics up here.
I'd say, what about we talk about Magsafe?
Okay, we'll talk about Magsafe then. Let me pull it up here. Hold on. All right, go for it.
Well, there's a lot of sellers out there. What was it?
Is Mike all right? Sound like he was losing a cat there.
I'm fine. I assume you're talking about me. I don't know.
Yes,
We're using Mike and Michael. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike and Michael. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Well, there's a lot of sellers out there. First-party sellers, third-party sellers, all selling MagSafes for the same price. You got the 45 watt, the 60 watt, and the 85 watt. You know, for the Air, the regular MacBooks, and the MacBook Pros. They're all selling them for the same price. Why would you buy the 45 watt when you could buy the 85 watt and it would work on any of the systems and it could probably charge quicker?
I didn't even realize. I'm looking at the Apple Store now. They are all $80. All of them.
See?
all of them, even the higher wattage
All
ones?
of them.
And it doesn't matter what wattage you use. You could use a higher wattage on a lower wattage device. It's not going to hurt it.
Yeah,
I've
a lot
got
of people
80
think
watt, 85 watts all around. The lowest I have is a few 60s, but most of mine are 85, and they work great on anything I plug them into.
Well, that's good because I don't have anything that uses MagSafe anymore, unfortunately. Because me and my wife bought 2017 MacBook Pros. Guess what? No more MagSafe on them. Mm-hmm. And what was the first thing she did when we went on a trip? She pulled out. I mean, she walked by the bed, and guess what she did? She pulled the cord and pulled the MacBook completely off the bed.
Oh yeah.
Didn't hurt the MacBook, but guess what happened to the cable? The cable got bent to heck.
Remember the Mac versus PC commercial where PC walks in and a full body cast?
Yeah.
Like what happened?
Yeah.
Those are.
I mean, you know, just it pops right off. It doesn't take the Mac with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why I bought one of these things. I don't know if you could see it or not, but it's upside down. But it's a USB-C MagSafe adapter.
Yeah.
Turns your USB-C cable into a MagSafe.
Yeah, problem with that is you have the 12-inch MacBook. You're just taking you just can't do. You can charge it now, but you can't use it for anything else. And it's just it's a lot of reversion that they're doing, a lot of regression for no reason. Because I would assume that even the MagSafe internals are a lot easier to replace if something shorts out rather than the single Thunderbolt or the 2 or the 4s or any of that stuff. It's really just amazing. Maybe they just get, I don't know, maybe Johnny Ive has some sort of ADD or something. He just gets bored with it. He's like, I don't like it anymore. It's just, I'm done.
I think it is like a big toddler. Like, I'm bored. I want something else.
Well, I think it is that Johnny Ive's got way too much power when Steve Jobs was there. And now it's basically he's in charge of iOS. And you saw what happened as soon as iOS came out. I mean, when he first took it over, we went to the flat icons and stuff, and it's like, it's ugly. You know, I used to like the old iOS because it was like 3D looking, you know?
Yeah.
Sketchomorphic, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Scott Forstall, man, he hated Scott Forstall. That was like a big internal war in there. A lot of people didn't like Forstall, from what I understood. So it was literally playground tactics to get him out of there.
Well, I think that's what the Apple Maps fiasco was. That was how they got rid of him finally.
Yep.
And I don't think it was his fault because he refused to sign the thing taking blame for it. So there was a lot more to that story probably than we don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably the reason why he refused to sign that letter.
Hey, only a few cars drove to a few lakes. It wasn't that big.
I was going to say, Waze just celebrated Tim Cook Day. They celebrate Apple Maps like they call it Happy Day. Didn't they just do that today or yesterday?
What?
Waze, the GPS software. That's so much better than Apple Maps. They had like a Tim Cook Day they celebrated today or yesterday about because they're happy about Apple Maps because I have to look that up.
I use Waze. I like Waze. That's actually
Waze is great. I'm just gonna. I swear I saw it as like a joke somewhere. Waze Tim Cook Day or Apple Maps Day or something. Yeah, annual. Here it is. 1 day ago, Google Waze's CEO says company celebrates annual Tim Cook Day, attributes app success to Apple Maps debacle. So every year they celebrate Tim Cook Day. There you go.
I can't blame him. I can't blame him one bit.
So I'll get into our next thing here if we want.
Happy Tim Cook Day, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay just did a week off of Facebook.
Well,
Okay,
he tried
he's going to take the Spreely challenge. From our last Mac Yak, he was going to, as soon as we signed off, he was cutting off of Facebook for a week, and he was going to start it back up today. But there was several things that happened to Facebook this week, and I actually posted some of the links so he could see it. But one of them was Facebook let third party in to actually view our chats, like our Messenger, our Facebook Messenger chats. So they were seeing private chats back and forth to the people you talk to on there. And then another one was I forget what it was there, Jay. What was it?
Facebook bug that exposed private photos.
Yeah, private photos.
Yeah. Which is hilarious because
there's no such thing as private when you put something
there's no such thing as a private.
Why would anyone believe that whatever you upload to Facebook is in any way private?
Exactly.
That just doesn't make sense.
So stupid.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing with the third parties looking into Messenger chats has got me kind of up in arms about that because I'm like, that's something that they should not be looking at. And thank goodness, and I hate to say this, but Apple did it right with iMessage because it's encrypted end to end, and they don't even have a key. And then they refuse to give the FBI access to that phone, even when they were about ready to get threatened by the DOJ to make them do it. Yeah. And I'm actually happy that Apple's took a stand on that. That's one of the things I'm actually pleased with Apple.
Yeah, but they still found a third party to hack it open.
But I think they fixed that loophole because I think with iOS 12, I don't think that's going to be possible anymore. Well, because if you notice that they actually made it where if you don't unlock your phone for a certain amount of time, it cuts out the data to the lightning port. So now you can't just take a locked phone and put a lightning cable in and extract data. It only lets you charge. It won't let you extract data now. Yeah. I think that's what fixed the problem right there.
Yeah, I like Apple's stance on privacy and security and all that. But don't forget, that is what created the T2 chip. So, I'm...
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But
they don't need a T2 chip to do what they're doing as far as security, though.
Yeah.
They agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I mean, they've been doing it before the T2 chip, so... Yeah. No, to circle back to Spreely, in case there's people watching that weren't last week, I ditched Facebook for a week to go to Spreely. It's a Facebook alternative. Spreely stands for Speak Freely because mostly comprised of people that were banned from Facebook for one reason or another or censored in some way. And it ran pretty well. I was going to give it a shot. Okay, 1 week, no Facebook. I signed out. I deleted my Messenger app, including my communication with Michael when I invited him to the stream. I said, if you wanna let me know, message me here because I won't be on Facebook to read your messages. But I basically ended up taking a 1 week break from social media because Spreely was a disaster. Nothing worked. Loading times took forever. There's of course no friends or user groups on there that I'm interested in. And like David just said in the chat, the Mac groups are the only thing keeping me on Facebook, which I agree with. Like the first night after I signed out, I had an issue with my Xserve, and the first thing I wanted to do was run to the Xserve users group on Facebook, and I'm like, oh crap, I can't. So I definitely missed the knowledge of the groups that I'm in on Facebook. Mac Pro Upgrade, the Xserve group, Low End Mac. There's just so much knowledge there. That's what I missed. So it was a nice break from social media. Definitely a lot less distractions, no notifications all day long. But Spreely is not ready for prime time just yet. So.
No, I found that out because I was trying to post some stuff in Jay's LEM group over on Spreely, and guess what? I couldn't post anything.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
And the reason I did that challenge is because I eventually want to move away from Facebook because of their business practices, because of the way they treat customer data or user data. We're not even customers because we're not paying for it directly. But it's going to be very hard because recreating all those awesome groups that we have on Facebook is going to take a very long time. So I might try it again next year. They have a lot of technical issues to iron out. But because of privacy, security, and all that, and because I just don't like Facebook, I want to make the switch eventually, but not yet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I mean, what's your feelings on it, Michael?
Facebook, oh man, I wish if I didn't have to, if my business didn't run and one of my contracted jobs didn't have social media at the core of both of those, I wouldn't be on social media at all. I would not have any. It's really just a time suck in a lot of ways. That's why I find in groups like your group, the Horsemen, other people, I really do pay attention to more of that stuff than anything. So, you know what I do when I get a sponsored ad on Instagram and Facebook? I say out loud, which my wife laughs at, I go, target me, I'll target you. And I send them an email to try to get free stuff. So, and it works usually.
It works.
So usually for a review, yeah, why not? I mean, if it's in front of me, so I'm just going to try to whatever I can to get content for the YouTube channel. But it did pop up out of nowhere a few months ago where those ads on our messages and connecting businesses right within Messenger. We should have known right there was something going on when we started seeing the ads right in Messenger. And they are, but think about Mark Zuckerberg when he testified in front of Congress and how technology illiterate these people are, didn't ask the right questions. Then Mark Zuckerberg, did you hear the latest quote? He said, what's good for the world is not necessarily good for Facebook.
Yeah.
Dude, you're worth $13 billion. How much more money do you need? What do you mean? What more of a bottom line do you need? Right there, they should have just been like...
Well, keep in mind, those quantum computers they're working on in the basement cost a lot of money. So.
How many do they have now? I know NASA and Google were the only two that had it at the time. Now it's 3.
I think they have 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to look up, if anybody's listening or watching, quantum computing, D-Wave computer, and CERN. You'll be very interested to find a lot of stuff out. Are you on the same page as me, Jay?
Yep.
I mean, when you got people coming out in front of this huge black box talking about how they broke the veil and there are multiverses. It's insane. These are, and nobody's shocked by it. Everybody's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not, it's a 2-second shock to receive something like that. but then they go back to their cell phones or Facebook.
No,
or whatever.
I'm talking about the people in the conference room or the big convention center where they announced it.
Really?
They were all like, "Yeah, man, that's cool." Like they were briefed on it. Like it's like the 7th time they've heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you think our phones and our Macs are advanced, there's a lot more out there. That's
absolutely
that's insane.
Yeah.
So, but no Magsafe for anybody. You're not allowed to have that.
No. And,
no. Well, and I think that's a misconception to a lot of people, thinking that Macs are safer, but they're not.
No, they're not.
They're just as vulnerable as another one. The only reason why Windows gets hit more is because it's got a vastly huge user base versus the Mac community.
Macs get viruses. They get a lot of things.
Why'd you have to bring this up, man? You know I can't shut up when you talk about this stuff.
So that's why we're here.
It's funny because we have these discussions often on Facebook, the various Facebook groups, like, oh, I need an antivirus. What do you recommend? And there's like 50 people right off the bat. It's like, you're an idiot. You don't need antivirus for the Mac. There's no such thing as a virus. And that argument, I'm looking at you, Rocky. That argument is pure horse stuff. Because there is no such thing as a virus in the Wikipedia sense of what a virus is. Malicious code that replicates itself. I get that. But there's also no virus or malware that does what they did 10 years ago. You get a bunch of freaky stuff on your screen, it destroys your files and all. No. These days, Mac or PC, malware is all about stealth. The longer it's on your system, the more it can exfiltrate from your system. It's all about avoiding detection, not causing havoc. So when someone says, "Oh, I've never installed an antivirus in the 10 years I've had a Mac or 20 years, and I've never had a virus," I'm like, how do you know?
Exactly.
How do you know? You might be riddled with malware.
I just upgraded a friend's PC. She had Norton on it. She had Malwarebytes on it. She had a lot of things on it. Norton was running in the background the whole time, slowing down the system. I told her she only needed Windows security and she only needed Malwarebytes to really be safe enough as long as she watched where she went. Right. Well, she hadn't ran Malwarebytes a long time. I took off Norton, which had been running in the background.
Well, God, Norton is a virus itself, actually.
Yeah, no kidding. I ran her Malwarebytes on that thing. It found 5. Like that. It's like, even today's antivirus isn't really enough. It misses that stuff all the time.
As long as you rely on signature-based detection, you have to wait for the malware company to detect it first, take it apart, write the definitions, and then push it out to you through an update.
Yep.
So that could be, and I used to write for Intego, which is an antivirus company for the Mac. And sometimes we would find malware that was already, when you start digging into the code, it was already out there for 6-7 years, different versions, but no one ever found it.
Yeah.
So even if your antivirus doesn't find anything, you might still have malware on your system.
Yep.
That's why products like, oh crap, I forgot his name. There's this guy. His website is Objective-C, objective-c.com. I forgot his name. I feel really bad. He makes free products that focus on what malware goes after. Any change in your system folder, this software lets you know. Any kernel extension that wants to be installed, the software lets you know. So it doesn't scan for malware, but it does let you know exactly if something changes that would be caused by malware. Patrick Wardle, that's his name. Yeah. And I see your comment, James. Norton is a virus. I disagree. Norton got a really bad reputation, especially on Mac, in the early days. But now
it slows down the system.
That's the reason why I say Norton's a virus, is because it slows down your system to a
and
crawl.
It doesn't seem to work anymore.
It used to. It used to. They make really sleek software now that runs really light.
Not on Windows.
Who cares about Windows?
No, that was my friend's computer.
Come on. You have friends that use Windows? What's wrong with you?
Friends don't let friends do Windows, right?
Exactly.
Well, she wants a MacBook now, so.
Convert.
Well, we're running out of stuff to talk about. We pretty much hit all our topics tonight. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
pretty much.
I guess we can go into the questions and comments. Anybody have any questions for our special guest tonight?
Yeah, any questions at all, I'd say would be all right.
Did we chase Brian off from Sell Your Mac? Is he still in the chat room? I'm scrolling.
Well, he's getting ready for a vacation as well, so he might have bugged out.
He probably went to start packing.
All these vacations, wow.
I know.
That's crazy.
Holidays, man.
You know what I look forward to the most in the holidays? Sitting at home doing nothing. Just spending time with family.
Jay, didn't you just do that a couple of weeks ago where your wife was in Florida and whatnot, and you had the house to yourself?
Yeah.
And you built up an extra
but that's relaxing by myself. Now I get to relax with my kid and play some games and unwrap presents and all that stuff. I don't need the stress of travel and no, man.
There you go. Now, we did have a couple inquiries come in through Facebook, and I believe Alex McKeever's, his request and question to kind of, it's a topic about the Phoenix, however you want to pronounce it. I think that'll be best saved for us to get some experience with kind of hammering that through before we mention anything about it since we're going to have a break in our next week for, the slackers who want to be out of town. And then we'll be back.
I don't know. I think we might try to do something. If anything, I'll probably.
Yeah, but I'm the only one that has the good internet to do it with.
Yeah,
we know that Greg.
Greg.
That's true.
Who are we kidding?
But then our second one was from Robert. Sorry if I mispronounce your last name, Baucom. And he was asking some questions about printers, like it looks like HP LaserJet printers and Mac OS. It looks like certain models, the 2055, maybe the 2035. And there's some that work and some that don't with newer Mac OSs. I do have a 20, I think it's a 2035 DN out in my side building, so I might actually test that. But do you guys want to comment on that at all?
I totally missed what you just said. Sorry.
Well, I'm not too familiar with printers and printer drivers on Mac because I rarely print anything. If I need to save something, I pull up the print screen and I select Save as PDF and I save it digitally or something. But I read a lot of stuff lately about printer driver updates locking you out from using third-party cartridges and all that. So I'm almost tempted to go low end with my printers as well. Just buy an old inkjet that, nothing fancy, but keep it old.
Well, I mean, the newer printers nowadays have AirPrint, which is something that Apple supports and all their stuff. And usually the printers that I work with, the one I use at work, the one I use here at the house, I don't even have any drivers. I just see it and I say, okay, print to that printer, and boom, it prints.
Yep, all my printers are like that too. So
yeah, I read the thing. Basically, what model? How new is that printer? It's pretty recent.
2035, yeah, that one's actually fairly new. That came out circa around the 07, 08.
Then it probably doesn't have AirPrint on it or anything like that, so you probably have to hook it up to a...
Sure. It's got Bonjour equipped with it if it's a DN model.
Yeah, I trust LaserJet pretty much. I've got a black and white HP LaserJet E11 something hooked up to my Mac Pro. It works. It doesn't work in Windows half the time. It always drops out in Windows. It works fine in Mac OS, no matter when I update it or what.
Yeah, now you mentioned that when I use Boot Camp on there, I can't get it to work at all on my printers.
It never seems to work with Windows.
For Mac OS, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
a hit or miss with the model of printer and whatnot.
I never.
Well, the Windows is driver based, and that's where you're going to run into the rabbit hole, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Drivers are just basically that's just something Windows people always have to deal with. That's why I switched over to a Mac. I really didn't have to deal with a whole lot of drivers or anything, and that's probably just this person using a Mac or Windows. I missed that part.
He's using Windows. I mean, Mac.
That's weird then.
Yeah,
it is. It's strange.
Well, if you, I never use AirPrint because it's never worked reliably for me, and because I only use my printers on Ethernet or on USB if it has it, because I actually switch off my Wi-Fi when I don't use it. So AirPrint needs Wi-Fi; it won't work without it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
When it comes to printers, I'm really not the guy to talk to.
And I don't have any problems. I've got a Samsung, and then I've got an HP. I will eventually get that 2035 out there. I believe it's 2035, or it's a 2235 that's sitting out there. I will get it cleaned up and tested. So that might be a good test, because he says it worked up until, what? It looks like up until 1013, maybe Mojave.
Yeah, from what I'm reading, when he upgraded, I need to pull it up again. I just closed it. Where is it? Yeah, from what I was reading, he updated to the next version, and it stopped working. Still works fine in High Sierra. He's afraid to upgrade it any further.
Yeah, I don't see why you'd be having problems. I will be getting High Sierra on my Mac Pro 3.1.
It's like he says that it worked on a Quicksilver running. Well, on here it says 10.8, which can't be right. So it's probably running Leopard 10.5.8. So yeah, if it worked on that, it should. I don't know.
Yeah, Greg, maybe you and I will need to test on that a little bit, since we both got.
We got a question in the chat from Brock. It says, remember when Steve Jobs said they had Intel as a backup to PowerPC? What CPU is the backup to Intel? I'm going to have to go with ARM.
Yep.
I'm thinking that they're probably, this is my theory on it, that they're probably going to make a desktop version of the A series chip like they have on the iPad and the iPhone. At least start off in the MacBook area.
My theory is it will still be x86 compatible, though, because they're going to still want to include the Mac users that want to still use Boot Camp if they need to.
I don't think so. I think Apple's kind of giving that the finger.
Plus,
I'm thinking
Windows
so too.
is moving more towards ARM. So, but I think it's still going to be a kind of a hybrid ARM x86 compatible CPU.
Now, isn't the T2 chip partially based upon an ARM?
I think so, yeah.
I mean,
here's the thing: if you have an iPad Pro that's more powerful than some of the laptops they put out, but yet you refuse to put Final Cut Pro on it or make a Final Cut Pro for iOS, why bother? Even though they got into the thing that Apple that shocks me now is they got into that's the gigahertz, but it used to be the megahertz wars. Like they never cared about the numbers before; they just cared about the user experience. Now they are benchmarking the hell out of these things. Yeah. Like that's what they're resorting to, and that was Microsoft's downfall, and that's when Apple, came back when they said screw all that stuff. We just want to make something that works really cool for everybody. So that to me, that was the first sign of trouble. I got an iPad Pro that's more powerful than mine. Okay, well, you say that every year. So you're saying my iPad Pro is a piece of shit now. And you're going to say the iPad Pro that's out now next year is a piece of shit. So
it is, because yours doesn't even have that cool bend in it, man. It's so
well, I'm not even talking about the bends. I mean, then, now it's like the yoga pad is kind of, it's the new Lenovo Yoga, the Apple-based one.
Well, how are you going to have graphics and stuff that powerful in there? And, it's awesome for games, this and that. But if they were to release a Final Cut for iPad Pro, no ventilation, no fans, nothing of a heatsink of any kind that means anything, you would melt that thing to the ground.
Wait a minute, so it's no different than any other Mac they make now, right?
Didn't they demo a Final Cut Pro on the
Photoshop?
Photoshop? Okay.
Yeah, that demo looked pretty sweet, though, with the whole 3D.
But I use Affinity Photo on the current iPad Pro, and it runs great.
Yeah.
Affinity Photo on the iPad is almost in a lot of ways more powerful than the Mac version because it's so streamlined for iOS, and the pencil and gestures and touch and all that stuff. It's a pretty sweet app. And Affinity Designer is really good. Now they have Publisher coming out to counter InDesign. The company is pretty solid with their offerings.
I've been waiting on an InDesign counterpart because
the beta's free. Try it out. The beta's free. Try it out.
Oh, it's already out. Oh,
yeah, they've had a few versions of Affinity. Finished the Affinity Publisher beta's been out, and it's free to try right now.
Awesome, yeah, because my wife uses Adobe CC every day, Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator, and I don't want to really try to move her over to Affinity until they have a good counterpart for all three software products. So that's cool. I'm going to try that out.
Yeah, I'm not really great with InDesign or Publisher, but it's got the same UI. So if you're familiar with Affinity Photo or Designer, you're going to be pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I've done some benchmarks. A couple of months ago, I put Affinity on my Mac and got a script from some website with a test image, and I let it do some random actions, and all 12 cores lit up. All 12 threads just lit up. The whole thing was lit up, and Photoshop never does that. Not even on a good day does it use half the cores I have in the Pro. So it was pretty awesome to see.
You got to pack, and I got to get to bed soon. I got a 3 a.m. gym call, so
yeah,
I know you got to pack.
That's why I was asking if we had any other questions before we start wrapping up.
I'm sorry.
No.
Let's start wrapping it up, probably.
I just
Michael,
put that out.
Anything you want to put out there before we wrap it up?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't know you just said you, and I was like, oh, is it me? Just if anybody's out there and they want to actually take control of their fitness journey for a very affordable, accessible price, I got the 16-week resistance band training program. It really is the most affordable, accessible workout program out there with direct email support from me. And like I said, I get up at 3 a.m., so I'll answer your emails pretty much any time of day. That's why I wear this thing. The heart rate doesn't work great, but the notifications work. And, I just very, very happy about all the people that got results. So please check it out. Go to StevieRichardsFitness.com. Also, you can follow me at Instagram at Stevie Richards. Also, I know you're confused right now because I've been saying Michael Manna all this time, but that's my brand name. Also, at BW Stevie on Twitter and the YouTube channel where I just put up a thing about fear. So if you're afraid to get started with a workout program, or if you're just afraid of anything like I'm afraid of almost everything, this video might help you. So check that out. I'll give you guys the links in the description. So if anybody's checking out after, below. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll have them all down below.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate being on. I hope you guys have me on again soon.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And I actually gave Michael a hard time about that because I saw his video yesterday. He's like, "Oh man, he's going after his fears. He's going to put lights in his Christmas tree. He's going to put T2 chips all over the house." But no, it only fitness. So,
well, B&H took $100 off the Mac Mini, so I got a little more tempted than I was the day before.
All right. Well, Michael, if you'd stick around, we usually do a bit right after the stream, so stick around for a second before.
Yep.
All right, guys. We'll
Thanks
catch
a lot,
all you guys later. Appreciate all the views we had tonight. Leave some comments, like it, comment, and subscribe. And hit that little bell icon so you get notifications. So we'll catch you guys later.
Thanks for joining. See ya.